Hello, good afternoon. My name is Martin Cowart, and welcome to Noonday Meditation and Contemplative Prayer Power Hour. I'm so excited to be with you again today. I've had a wonderful day. I actually got to get out this morning, which is why I'm a few minutes late. My apologies. To meet with a group that I love. It's a meditation group that I've been meeting with for years here in Montclair, where we meet on Friday mornings to meditate and read some spiritual wisdom and have a dialogue. And it has been something that I have enjoyed tremendously. And due to the pandemic, I have not been able to, we've been meeting largely by Zoom, but now we're meeting back in the park on beautiful days like today with social distancing and masks and whatever we need to do to protect ourselves and others. So it was just a joy to be back in that space with people engaging in real human connection. And so that's where I was this morning, and I'm sorry for being a few minutes late for our gathering here today. So I want to talk a little bit about, for those of you who don't know, I'm a prosperity coach, and what that means is I teach people how to use spiritual principles to solve financial problems and create wealth. And that comes from my own experiences of how I spent most of my life trying to be successful, trying to achieve the levels of success that I needed to achieve in order to feel loved, to be worthy of love, and to, basically at a very guttural level, earn my mother's approval. And that's a very fear-driven way to live. And for me, if you were to look at me from the outside back in 2016, not long ago, from the outside looking in, I was a very successful man. I worked for I was the top producer in a Fortune 500 financial services firm. I had a beautiful office on the 44th floor overlooking Park Avenue in Manhattan. From the outside looking in, I look like exactly what my mother would love. But on the inside, I was miserable. Absolutely miserable. Terrorized, quite frankly. Terrorized that people were going to find out that I really was a fraud, that I really didn't deserve, or I wasn't worthy of the success that I had achieved and all the things that went with it. I had what's known as imposter syndrome. And it's a pretty common syndrome, particularly among people who are successful in the terms of the outside world looking in. Because it is a common syndrome because it is a conflict between your belief system from your heart and what the outside world is telling you. Okay, because you don't believe you're successful and you don't believe you have earned whatever or done whatever you need to achieve the levels of success. And if everybody, you're like a fraud, and you live in terror that if everybody found out the real you, who you really are, they would know. You would find out that they know you're just a fraud. You're just a fake. You're a phony, and you would lose everything. You'd lose your office. You'd lose your prestige. You'd lose your importance. All those things that our egos value so much. So it's no wonder that it's a construction of our egoic minds out of fear of not being good enough. It is probably I talk about the scarcity mindset, and that is probably the single most sabotaging effect of the scarcity mindset is the imposter syndrome. And many people that you see who look successful from your perspective are feeling the pain of the imposter syndrome on the inside. And for me, it became so unbearable. The fear became so bearable that what happened, I began to sabotage because the ego, remember, it's always got to be right. It's always got to win, no matter what, at what cost. The ego has to win. So it will actually sabotage your financial goals to be right. It's a very perverse way of living. It's a very painful way of living. And it got so painful that actually I had attorneys say, Mark, maybe your best alternative is to declare bankruptcy. And that would have been an external fix, if you will. So it'd be relieve some pain that I was in. But I'd done enough self-work to know that it was something I needed to do some deeper work. And it was my spiritual director who helped me unpack that story, unpack that belief system, and look at the old stories where I created that system, where I created those beliefs. And when I did, we did a spiritual process that I call inquiry, where you begin to bombard your ego thinking mind with questions seeking the truth. Again, inquiry is where we begin to bombard the ego thinking mind with enough questions to begin to find the truth. We do it we do it when we do contemplative prayer. It is part of the contemplative prayer process of letting go. And we're able to let go because we found out it's not true. So we inquire, what is my ego thinking mind? What is my feared belief? Why is it here? What does it believe? It believes that you're not worthy of love. You're not worthy of this office. You're not worthy of, you know. So when you inquire and you say, and listen to the truth, that deeper presence within us, that love, the creative force of the universe, makes itself known to us and says, Martin, Mindy, Audrey, that's not true. You are so worthy of love. You are love. You are prosperity. You are successful. I am successful. I am prosperity. There's nothing you can do to become successful. Just because you're alive, you are successful. You are prosperous. You are born. You come with this, all that you need into the world. Hey, Rohit, glad to have you here with us today. Nice to see you. We're talking about success and the illusion that so many people have around achieving success or becoming successful as maybe an answer to their problems, that their world will be okay. They'll have the things they want and need. They'll have the love they need, the sense of importance. They'll have all the things the ego thinks it needs. But the truth of the matter is, when you really go inside and look at this, there's nothing to achieve. We are successful. We are abundant. We are prosperity. And when we realize the truth of who we are, not only do all those narcissistic fears and concerns, the imposters, literally just dissolve because they were all illusions in the first place, but a bigger realization comes forward. The doer in us, that presence within us, the more we become being and less doers, we be successful and we do what success does. When we allow ourselves to be prosperous, then we do what prosperity does, because that's who we are. That's the whole idea behind Eckhart Tolle's book, Awakening to Your Life's Purpose. When we wake up to the truth of who and what we are, we discover our life's purpose is just to love ourselves with all our heart and with all our mind and with all our soul. It literally cuts through the egoic lie that we're not lovable because we didn't do something, and relieves us of that burden to have to effort our way into prosperity, to effort our way into success, because you can't do it. There's nothing you can do to become successful except for to let go of the belief that you need to do something to become successful. It is to free yourself, be willing to free yourselves from these old narcissistic, fear-driven beliefs that have you stuck. And that's something we do through the art of contemplation, through the practice of living and being present in our lives. So, enough being said by me. Now, let's read a little bit from Eckhart Tolle's book, Awakening to Your Life's Purpose. But I just wanted to share that because I know from my prosperity coaching practice that many people, particularly successful people, CEOs, and some of the higher level executives that I have the good fortune to work with, suffer from imposter syndrome. They just can't get out of their own way fast enough to allow the love, the spirit, the life force in them actually to realize they're not doing the doing. They're either resisting or accepting. That's what we get to choose. We can either resist the life force in us is what we do, and let that do the doing, or we resist it and do what the ego tells us to do, and we usually end up in a very uncomfortable and painful situation. And life is just a lot more fun, a lot more of adventures when we just accept the world the way it is and let go of our need to control it. Let go of our need to make something happen so that I can be successful and look important. I mean, how many of we all do it? It's not like it's, oh, by the way, one thing I want to be clear about, it's not like once you get to this enlightened space that all that stuff goes away. It doesn't. We have to always include the lower levels of consciousness: fear, anger, pride, entitlement. And we have to have the courage to include those parts of ourselves, to include those shadow parts of ourselves that we want to hide, repress, and then we become wholehearted. And when we include that, we become a more wholehearted human being. When we accept the darker parts within ourselves as part of who and what we are, it transforms what we do every day in our lives. Because then we've aligned ourselves with a very powerful force, the creative force of the world, basically. And now it's almost overpowering sometimes. I'd say it is for me. It's like, oh my God, I really have to surrender to this. Yes, you do. Oh no, you don't. You could. I can resist, and I have, and I still do, until it gets too painful, and I let it go. Drop the rope. It shows up for me often in my cooking. You know, I'm a trained chef, so I have certain ideas on how they should be prepared. And so sometimes when I'm cooking something, I don't have something, or I need to change something. And, oh, it won't be as good. Just let go of that nonsense and just begin to feel the essence of the food and get creative and allow that creative. And always I make these amazing meals, and I may have made it in a completely different way than I made it before. But it came from that I gave myself permission to let go of the belief it had to be done that way, and allow that creative genius within me to create it the way it wanted to create. I had mastered enough skills around cooking skills that I had the flexibility to listen to that creative voice within ourselves. And that comes from practice, by the way, a contemplative practice. Here's something I wanted to read. This is from Eckhart Tolle's book, A Dialogue of Inner Purpose. The following dialogue condenses numerous conversations I've had with people who are looking for their true life purpose. Something is true when it resonates with and expresses your innermost being, when it is in alignment with your inner purpose. This is why I'm directing their attention to their inner and primary purpose first. Here's the dialogue. I don't know exactly what it is, but I want some change in my life. I want expansion. I want to be doing something meaningful. And yes, I want prosperity and the freedom that comes with it. I want to do something significant, something that makes a difference in the world. But if you ask me what exactly I want, I would have to say, I don't know. Can you help me find my life purpose? As a prosperity coach, I get that as well. His response, your purpose is to sit here and talk to me because that's where you are and that is what you're doing. Until you get up and do something else. Then that becomes your primary purpose. So right now, being in this moment together is our primary purpose. But our egoic mind is constantly telling us, possibly telling us, it does me, well, maybe I should be doing something else. How am I going to make money sitting here on this Facebook Live talking about these spiritual truths? You better go do something to make a living, Martin. You better do something real. You know, go back to that big firm and get that big fancy office and start making some money again, being successful. Or I can accept the fact that this is where I am and this is what we're doing. And if I make this my primary purpose, let's see what happens. Something shifts. I'm now in the moment, which is where our power is. So the response is, so my purpose is to sit in my office for the next 30 years until I retire or get laid off. And Eckhart says, you're not in your office now, so that's not your purpose. When you do sit in your office and do whatever it is you do, then that is your purpose. Not for the next 30 years, but for the now. I think there is some misunderstanding here. For you, purpose means what you're doing now. For me, it means having an overall aim in life, something big and significant that gives meaning to what I do, something that makes a difference. Shuffling papers in my office is not. I know that. Eckhart back again, as long as you are unaware of being, you will seek meaning only within the dimension of doing and of future. And that is to say, the dimension of time. And whatever meaningful or fulfillment you find will dissolve or turn out to have been a deception. Just like my office was a deception. Invariably, it will be destroyed by time. Any meaning we find on that level is truly only relatively and temporarily. For example, if caring for your children gives meaning to your life, what happens to that meaning when they don't need you and perhaps don't even listen to you anymore? If helping others gives meaning to your life, you depend on others being worse off than yourself so that your life can have purpose and continue to have meaning, and you can feel good about yourself. I got to say, as a coach, I have to be aware of that thin line all the time, and I have to be aware that it's not my job to help you. My job is to help you get present in the truth of who you are, and that's prosperity. That's the spiritual truth that I work on. But sometimes it's hard because I see people, I have a new client coming in, and I see them stuck. They'll tell me, I'm not this, I'm this, I'm not this, I'm this, I'm this. And I see the more they tell me who and what they are, the more I realize how stuck they are in some egoic trap, trying to prove success or trying to prove reality. And I just listen. But there's an instinct in me that wants to go in and just snatch them up, rescue them from their own saboteur. But that doesn't work. What works is for me to listen and help them discover what my coaches have taught me. They have to discover it for themselves, because once they realize it for themselves, everything changes. And that's the purpose of a coach, is to someone to help you realize the truth within you. And that's through inquiry and questions. Is it true that if the desire to excel, excuse me, if the desire to excel, win, or succeed at this or that activity provides you with meaning, what if you never win, or your winning streak comes to an end one day, as it will, as mine did? You will then have to look to your imagination or memories, a very unsatisfactory place to bring some meaningful meaning into your life, making it in whatever field is only meaningful as long as there are thousands or millions of others who don't make it. So you need other people to fail so that your life can have meaning. I'm not saying here that helping others or caring for children or striving for excellence in whatever field are not worthwhile things to do. For many people, they are an important part of their outer purpose. But outer purpose is only relative, unstable, and impermanent. My outer purpose to achieve success in that office and all that came with it was a temporal and impermanent and unstable achievement. This does not mean you should not engage in those activities. It means that you should connect them to your inner primary purpose so that a deeper meaning flows into what you do. So if my primary purpose is to begin to love myself unconditionally, then I can begin to love the world unconditionally. And out of that beingness, the doer can begin to do and live life through me, and I become a vehicle, if you will. So my life's purpose is to love myself so fully and to surrender so fully to that loving life force within me and within you that I can make a difference in the world. And that's how we make a difference in the world. We all want to make a difference in the world, but for what purpose? For the purpose of looking important, or the purpose of being important? I am important just because I am. I am successful. You are successful. And when we come from the place of our own sense of worthiness, our own magnificence, then that's what we create out in the world. And that's how we might achieve so-called success, because we're being successful. Make sense? Without living in alignment with your primary purpose, whatever purpose you come with, even if it's to create heaven on earth, you will be of the ego or become destroyed by time. Sooner or later, it will lead to suffering. If you ignore your inner purpose, no matter what you do, even if it looks spiritual, because the ego loves, 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 it wants to be enlightened so badly. Mind you, as I became more spiritually wise, as I began to read more spiritually and I became more awakened, I went through a stage where I was literally unawakened. I was just a big, overinflated ego. And that's painful too. If you ignore your inner purpose, no matter what you do, even if it looks spiritual, The ego will creep into how you do it, and so the means will corrupt the end. The common saying, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, points to this truth. In other words, not your aims or your actions are primary, but the state of consciousness out of which they come. That's powerful. Your aims or your actions, in other words, not your aims or your actions are primary, but the state of consciousness out of which they come. Fulfilling your primary purpose is laying the foundation for a new reality, a new earth. Once the foundation is there, your external purpose becomes charged with spiritual power. This is so, so important. Once that foundation is there, your external purpose, that's why we call this a power hour, your external purpose becomes charged with spiritual power because your aims and intentions will be with the evolutionary impulse of the universe. I want to read that again because that is the core. That is the core of what I coach about. That is the core teachings that I use and I talk about or I share, teach, share, however you want to say it, to help people step into their power, their authentic power. Fulfilling your primary purpose is laying the foundation for a new reality, a new earth. And once that foundation is there, I can say this to you, once I have this foundation, this is not me here. Once I have this foundation, and I have it today, and I love sharing it with you, and I know many of you have that foundation as well. We all have that dimension. It's whether or not we've cultivated it or not. It's the only difference. And that's why we need a contemplative practice, is to cultivate, and nourish, and expand it so that we have more power. So once that foundation is there, your external purpose becomes charged with spiritual power because your aims and intentions will be one with the evolutionary impulse of the universe. And I got to tell you, that's a much more exciting and fun way to live your life. Or it's a more exciting and fun way to allow you to let life live through you. It's just more exciting. And it takes a lot less effort. Thank you, Eckhart. Thank you for the teaching. Thank you so much for the teaching. And thank you for being here. So let's meditate. I can find my insight timer somewhere. It's around. Here it is. My apologies. Let's meditate. Let's tap into that. Let's practice our primary purpose, which is to love ourselves, to get intimate, to get to know ourselves. Take time out of our busy days for ourselves. That's what we do at noontime. We take time out of our busyness to be, and re-plug in and recharge our batteries with spiritual power. Then we have the power to go out and achieve those external purposes. And for me, that's always about, my purpose is always about whatever I can bring and whatever I can share for the betterment of the world. So it becomes more about the doing than the outcome. And who's the doer? The loving life force within us. So this is about connecting that and participating, actively participating in the evolution of humankind. Actively allowing ourselves to step into the impulse of the universe, the energy of the universe. So here's the timer. Raise your arms up in the air. Now I'm going to ask you, and just hold them there for a second. And just become aware of the life energy that's holding up your arms right now. Yes, your muscles, but your muscles are doing it at the command of the life within us. And I just do it so that you can become aware that life force. We think it's so close. It's so close to us. It is certainly part of who we are, but we think that's what we are. We think this is all there is, what I can see, feel, touch, experience. But we know through this practice, as we get still, there's a lot more going on. There's a lot going. The bigger part's going on way, way outside. There's a whole dimension of the truth of who we are. So allow yourself to get still and feel into that dimension. Breathe. A little mindful breathing helps. And mindful breathing is exactly what it sounds like. It's taking your mind and focusing it away from thinking. What's something we do every single day? We're allowing it. It's just breathing. We can align our breath up with the universe. It's an action we can take to align ourselves and invite the creative force of the universe to come present. I'm willing to be still. I'm willing to let go. And I'm willing to listen and see what might happen. Allow the bell to wake you up in your trance. Reset. Follow the vibration of the bell into the deeper parts of yourself, into that stillness, into the emptiness. Welcome back. Our primary purpose is to be present to what's now. It's being successful. The truth of being present to what's true is that we are being ourselves. We are successful. We are prosperous. We are loving. So go out and allow that doing that spiritual power within us to manifest your external purpose. And that may change because there's a deeper purpose within us, a deeper power within us. And when we surrender to the moment, we allow that to be present. God knows what might be happening. We just might be taking part in the evolution of humankind. Matter of fact, I don't say we just might be, it's inevitable. It's the truth of what we are. We are creators. We are made in the image. We are a reproduction. We are part of the creative force of the universe. That's a pretty exciting place to be. I just want to let you know that I will not be here tomorrow on Saturday. I'm taking a day off to the beach with some friends. So, and I typically am here on Saturday, but I will not be here tomorrow. I'll be back on Monday. So have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. I hope that you will find all of the love and prosperity that's yours. And build a life of beauty and meaning from the truth of who you truly are. And have a lot of fun and excitement doing it. You know you're doing the right thing because it feels good. It feels fun. It feels exciting. It feels like you're efforting too much to get somewhere. Let go of that. Drop the rope and be present. May love and prosperity prevail. Thank you for joining me so much today.